I was fortunate enough to move to Santa Fe in 1973 when my French girlfriend jilted. And I decided to go to go visit a friend of mine who moved to Santa Fe. And I fell in love with the place immediately. And I was able to write for both newspapers. And my friend at the time drove the library bookmobile around these little villages in northern New Mexico. And so I went with him on a few rides, and I just fell in love with northern New Mexico. Unfortunately, I had to make a living, so I went back and did a PhD and managed to get a job teaching journalism at the University of Cincinnati, which was a great place. But the day after my wife and I both retired, we moved back here because this is the place that we love the most. So I published 21 books, but the last 14 have been my mystery series, which I'm finally using all of the stories I had from my trips around northern New Mexico in these mysteries. In spite of being a person who's taught journalism for 30 years with a very rigid kind of writing and formulaic and whatnot, when I write mysteries, I do everything backwards or the opposite as when I was a news writer. For example, I get most of my ideas from dreams. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And probably my best example was my first published mystery, Peyote Wolf, which came from a dream, a recurring dream, where I saw a man wearing a wolf mask bursting into a teepee where a peyote ceremony was taking place and pointing to the person he was going to kill, which he did. The dream wouldn't go away. And finally, I decided it wanted me to write about it, which is what I did in my first mystery, Peyote Wolf. And since then, I've done 13 more. Number 14 was just published June 10th. Breaking the Peyote Circle. I returned to the peyote, which I won't say much. I won't talk about at this point. But I thought I would mention a few things about how I write, and then you can take what you want from that. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Questions about me, my bio, or my other publications, my mysteries, whatever. I'm most well known for my books on Chaco Canyon. My Hiking Chaco Canyon book is the Sunstone bestseller. And it's certainly my bestseller. It's done well. Anyway, mystery writing. As I see, I get all of my ideas from dreams. And they're not always as compelling or as dramatic as the Peyote Wolf example. But they're either about crimes or someone experiencing a crime or someone discovering a crime. And that is rendered dramatically in the first chapter. And of course, that's to draw the reader in. You want to draw the reader in immediately. And also, it, in a sense, sets the scene and starts to introduce some of the characters. My second chapter usually introduces the main characters, the other main characters. And at that point, after the second chapter, where pretty much all the main characters are introduced, I simply let the characters take over. Now, this is tricky. When I was a young man and I first started writing, I've been writing all my life since my 20s. I tried to make when I had an idea, I tried to make an outline of the book I was going to write, and I couldn't do it. It felt like homework, basically, and it just bored me, and I would stop writing. And so I learned that at least for me, I have to start with an exciting incident and characters that I know well and let it develop. Now, I'm a big believer in the ancient theory that character is plot. Character is plot. I think Aristotle said that plot is primary, but plot is nothing more than the characters doing what they have to do. So the trick is to have engaging, vivid characters. And that's my one advice, my basic advice. The only thing that makes a book readable to me is if there are vivid, engaging characters, or I lose interest right away. Might be a great book, with some great ideas and whatnot, but if the character, the persona is not interesting, I can't read it. All of my main characters are based on people that I know or have known really well, including my detective. Although he's no longer a detective, he went through a period where he became a private investigator, and now he calls himself a fixer because he fixes the messes that people get into. And Lord knows we all get into enough messes in our life. So there's no shortage of that. But he's based on an old friend of mine, Joe Espinosa, who was an ex-Marine, and he's a bit grumpy. He's a bit of a misanthrope. He's an interesting guy. His father was Hispanic, his mother Anglo. So he's not a private. He's an equal opportunity misanthrope. He's suspicious of everyone. Doesn't matter their gender, their class, their race, ethnicity, their sexual preference, or whatever. He's skeptical. He's a bit gruff, but he's a great character. And the others most of them are these people that I met first in the 1970s, which, if you were around, was a very vivid decade, especially in Santa Fe. Santa Fe is not the same city as it was in the 70s. It was more like Taos back then. Santa Fe has become so gentrified that it's hard to recognize the Santa Fe that some of us knew back then. So basically, I turn the story over to my characters and let them do what they have to do. The same thing we say, people will do what they will do, right? And if you know your characters really well, you're going to know what they're going to do in certain situations, and you can just let them go. And that's what works for me. Now, I know it doesn't work, it won't work for everyone, but sometimes I do get stuck, not often, because I've never had writer's block. You set me in front of a typewriter or a computer and I just start typing. I've always been that since my journalism days. But if I do, for whatever, I think maybe he made a wrong turn. He would have preferred to do this, and he would have done. Then I'll go back and I'll edit. And again, if this does happen, I will go to bed and I will dream about it purposely. I'll go to bed thinking about it, and usually I'll work the problem out in the dream, and I'll know what to do the next day, what the character should do in that situation. A couple of times I've had a brilliant breakthrough in one of my dreams, and then the next morning I can't remember it, so I have to go back and do it again. And I'm always never sure if it's quite the same, solution as I had the first time. So that's basically how I write. I know it's quirky. It's not probably the advice that most people would give you. But again, my mysteries are character driven. They're character driven, and character to me is primary. I love my characters, my big characters, Ruby and Lane and the others. They're part of my family. And everybody tells me that I need to start killing them off now, because this is, I've already finished number 15. And the more of these I write, the more death and mortality creep in to the mysteries. Certainly I'm not any spring chicken, so I know something about that. But at some point, I'm going to have to start thinking about the end for some of the characters, and I just love to do it. I mean, they're like family to me. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, so that's my advice. And I must say, as we talked earlier, the reason I write all the time, every day, is that I like it. I enjoy it. It's fun for me. It's more fun than watching TV or the things that other people like to do. I have nothing against TV, but this is more fun for me. And my wife doesn't. She's sick of the mystery. She doesn't stop. But I always say, well, when it stops being fun, that's when I'll stop writing. And it hasn't stopped being fun yet. So I'm still writing. My next one, not the one that just came out, is really I really love it. It's my favorite one. It's called Dancing with Dennis Hopper's Ghost. And it's set in Taos. I love Taos. I go there to book events, pretty frequently. And I have had a long history with Taos as well. So, and that was probably the most fun of the books for me to write. And but again, it deals with mortality. It's more serious than the others. So that's my spiel. Could anybody have any questions about mystery writing? Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.